All right, guys, pretty cool developments today. This is the video tutorial, the actual video. The audio didn't pick up for some reason, and I used the exact same software for the live stream. So, apologies that all of this thanks to you guys being members and hanging in there through the fall, and good luck in NFL and talking about college football. All the fun stuff that I went through during this spiel didn't get picked up. So nonetheless, I did do the entire tutorial, and we'll get to that in just a second, but I did want to fill in the gaps for me talking through this, and it didn't even pick up the audio, which is a pain. So obviously, the last couple of days have been pretty hectic with the new website, trying to get it matched up so that we can get all of the new tools that we're working on, which a couple of them you've seen, but everything's ready to be actually on the website. So the beta model, the PGA stat model that is listed on the website, it's the beta version, and there's also a Euro. So we have Euro and the PGA, so you can look at both stat models, but the beta model takes you to another address where you can look with it, and the lineup optimizer is what we're working on right now. So the goal is by January, the PGA stat model, the Euro stat model, those both are good to go, and the lineup optimizer is built into them. So you can pretty much do everything you need. And then we're just working through getting these tools with the extended approach, the rolling stats and all that stuff, which a lot of it kind of picks up in the stat model, but it would be nice to have some extra tables and some interactive charts for you to navigate, look at some course data, approach data, stuff like that. So kind of touched on it during this segment of this video. And then just did a thank you to you guys for, basically an awesome 2019. Since the golf bag started last year, here I'm thanking Workacut about the hat. So shout out to a lot of you guys. Workacut sends me these hats, and he'll text me. Not sure how he got my number, but I just appreciate you guys doing everything you can. Obviously this year we had Axis and Skylar join. Obviously Jacob helps out a lot during the week, so couldn't do it without you guys. And then all of you as members, always interacting in chat. You're always being supportive on the live streams. You're talking with each other, talking through ideas, stuff like that. So I really appreciate it. Wanted to take a minute to say thank you. So we're getting to the end of this first part before we get into the actual tutorial, or not even a tutorial, just screencast. But I did want to say thank you and good luck in all of your contests this fall. We got some cool stuff in store, so we just appreciate you hanging in there through the fall swing, even though it's maybe not your biggest priority being golf. You got NFL, college football, and stuff like that. But it does help us. We like seeing your faces in Slack, and it keeps us motivated to keep pumping out some of these updates and make stuff a little bit easier to use and a little bit more intuitive as you research golf every single week. So I'll quit spieling, and I'm getting to the point now in the video where I'm pulling up the stats into the link from Skylar, and then I'm going to download it into Excel and open it so I can format a few things. So I'll go ahead and hop into that now. All right, guys, I think I got it back up now. So like I said, the stats will pull up like this in Excel, so you could obviously use them on the website, but you could download them. I think it's a bit easier if you're going to do formatting or any type of filters, weighting, anything like that. So Sky loves to have it at about squint font, so usually I bump that up to C. But not going to worry about these tabs for now. What I'm going to look at is the Korn Ferry Tour 10 tournament field stats. He also has the season field stats, but I'm just going to focus on the finals is okay, but this 10T I'm really focusing on. So he also include the standings for where they finished, which is nice. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull in the pricing real fast just so that we have a reference. 1 second. So you could actually run this same formula, and it'll pull in the salaries. And then from here, we can then sort on the salaries, and we have everybody. Again, squint font. Let's zoom that in just a bit. Hopefully it's easy for you guys to see on here. So, all right. So as you can see, these are the guys that are coming off the Korn Ferry Tour. Hovland, Scheffler, I think a lot of people know of. Streb's an interesting one off of his course history here in recent form. But I really want to focus on the rest of these guys. So you can see we have a ton of good stats to go off of. We don't have strokes gained data from the web.com tour, which isn't a big problem. I think it would probably be a little bit, I wouldn't say confusing, but there could be like huge jumps on some of the courses that they play. We just got to kind of monitor that. So as of now, no strokes gain data, but I don't see it as a potential issue, especially for the fall swinger. Really trying to, it's more hands-on digging into these guys, not so much who gained the most strokes in the last 5 events on approach or off the tee or something like that. So what I want to do first is look at their green regulation, weighted green regulation numbers. So I'm just going to format a few of these. Actually, Sky does a really good job putting these percentiles, which gives you kind of a better idea. So let's go ahead and do that for these. So I'm just going to format the highest numbers. So, 100th percentile is the highest, the most green. Driving distance, I'm not too concerned with. We can look at it. Driving accuracy, certainly ones we can eyeball. Bogey avoidance, I'm not too concerned with, but I am looking at birdie or better. So we can do weighted birdie or better. We'll throw a green filter there. And then we have FanDuel and DraftKings points that we create. And I'm just going to hide these for simplicity. So if I'm going super fast, I apologize. Again, trying to get through this video kind of quick and summarizing these guys, not trying to do an Excel tutorial. So you have weighted DK points. Let's do it for both. This is per round. And then strokes gained field differential. You can certainly just sort by strokes gained field differential and see where we got. And then the last thing I'll do, just to kind of get a feel for this, I'm going to do a different color to see. Let's see if we can do something better than that. Not really. That's okay. So it's mostly green, but you can get a feel for, these guys are pretty expensive, or these guys are pretty expensive. You know what you're paying for. These guys down here are the ones that we really want to focus on. So the first thing I did looking back at these events, you can obviously see their rounds. Let's throw a filter on that just for reference. So you can see like Scotty Scheffler has a ton of rounds in the last 10 tournaments. Zach Blair, same thing. And then a couple of these, like I said, Tom Lewis is a little bit of a question mark for me. I probably won't play him. His year-long stats on the Euro Tour have been a little bit questionable. He had one good showing here to win that event, which was great. I mean, he played phenomenal. But again, it's only 4 rounds. I'm not too concerned with that. So just eyeballing this, it looks like he's the only one with 4. So let's just take him out. And then what I want to do, look at green regulation. And we have the percentiles, but what I want to do is let's look at everybody that was over 50%. 50%. Sorry, probably help if I did the decimals correctly. 50% greener regulation. There we go. So got that squared away. You could even go higher. You can see like Richie Werenski's weighted greener regulation is actually down in his 10 rounds he played, even though he's over 50%. So gives you a pretty good idea here for greener regulation. I think that's going to be one of my biggest points to look at this week, along with birdie or better. Like I said, bogey avoidance is fine, but just not going to be a big priority for me. So as we go down this list, if we really want to focus on guys that are hitting a ton of greens, you get a guy like a David Hearn. David Hearn has crazy good course history here for like being a lesser known player on the tour. He's played here every single year since 2012. Couple really good finishes inside the top 15. And I think he had a second or a third back in like 2014, if I'm not mistaken. So he's a really interesting one. And obviously coming off of some really good finishes, I think that's a interesting play to say the least. Going down below that, you can see like Brandon Hagee, Bo Hostler doing a lot with the putter. I'm not really thrilled to play them. But you can see Harry Higgs. Harry Higgs is an interesting one. Actually had a really good overall year, but finished off the year pretty good. Have plenty of rounds to go off of. We look at his scoring, looking at DraftKings scoring right here. He's in the 95th percentile, 96th percentile almost. So definitely an interesting one. Going down a bit, Lahiri, Norlander, probably not going to do it for me. You can't play them all, and like for that one price range, like here, that's just not enough salary savings. Like I do like the David Hearn call over a couple of these guys. Even Harry Higgs probably isn't going to make my pool if I'm only building a few lineups, but did want to point him out. Zach Blair is probably the interesting one. You got 34 rounds on him. His percentiles for green regulation, 88th percentile for the last 10 tournaments, 91st in weighted green regulation. If we look at DraftKings scoring, it's the same deal. So he's got 95th percentile in DraftKings points, weighted DK points, 95th percentile, and then strokes gained field differential. I think he's like second. I think he might be like fifth on the list. So obviously Victor Hovland's way up there. Play Hovland this week. Cameron Davis, I think Axis likes quite a bit. So he's an interesting one. He has 12 rounds, 84th percentile in both green regulation metrics. Scoring-wise is not the best, so I'd be curious to know why he's looking at Cameron Davis. But he's not a bad play. Like longer term, he probably sets up well for this golf course. That's probably where he's going. Hank Lebioda might get some popularity off the name, but his last finish, hasn't been doing it very well with the iron, so not going to play him. Brim is okay, but then Grayson Murray here, a super interesting one. If you look at his last couple finishes coming back from injury this year, and like if I go pull up his stats, his finishes real quick. Let's see. I mean, he's finished the Korn Ferry Tour. Pull him up. Yeah, so he went, starting back at the Lacombe Health Challenge, which was the beginning of July. And then he played the last three of the finals. He finished 29th, 23rd, 11th, and 7th at the Korn Ferry Tour Championship. So really good form coming in here. His stats lined up. We know he's a great scorer. He's number one, I think, in this field in DK points from the Korn Ferry Tour. And green regulation number is up there. So you can see there that's a pretty good, interesting point on green and regulation versus weighted green and regulation. But still, I'm not too concerned. Like seeing the overall percentage for him, he makes a lot of birdies. He does make some bogeys, potentially some bigger numbers. But for a $6,800 guy coming in with an 11th and a 7th in his last two starts, I like him quite a bit at $6,800. Going down the list a bit more, most of these guys, I mean, they might get some talk just because they know the names, Richie Werenski, Brendan Todd, Tyler Duncan. Not going to cut it for me. I would probably be more apt to kind of come down here into this Matthew Neesmith, Rob Oppenheim range. Robbie Shelton, maybe not, and then Joseph Bramlett. So like these guys here are probably going to be one of my more favorite ones to hit. So you can see, I mean, kind of cheating a little bit because I was already looking at this sheet, but you can see their green regulation percentiles are way up there. Matthew Neesmith has 26 rounds in those last 10 events, 94th percentile, 75% green regulation, 96th percentile gaining greens on the field. And then the same with Bramlett. Bramlett's an interesting one. So, a lot of this has to do with building stars and scrubs lineups. If you're not going to do that, which I mean, that's news to me. I'm having a really tough time in the mid-tier because I see a lot of potential with these value plays. And then it would allow me to play a Hovland with a Kokrak or a Hovland with a Neiman, something like that. So, keep that into consideration. I'm not saying just jump down here and play all these guys, but if you're building stars and scrubs lineups, which is what I'm focusing on this week, these are the guys that you need to fit in. Oppenheim's interesting. I'm going to keep an eye on him. I probably will play him for, fear of missing out, but he actually played in my US Open local qualifying site. He shot 64, and usually the local qualifying, I mean, it's not the best competition, but there's still a lot of good pros there. And he was the low guy by 4 shots. So out of 80 people, he shot the lowest round by 4 shots. He got through sectionals into the US Open this year, missed the cut by 1 shot. I think he bogeyed 18 at Pebble. And then he hopped back onto the Korn Ferry Tour. And if I pull up his numbers, he's been a little bit more hit or miss with some miscuts and some good finishes. But overall, his stats are lining up. Since the US Open, he has 4 miscuts and he's got 4 top 10s. 3 top 10s and a 23rd. So pretty good finishes. His last 2 starts, he finished 9th and then 33rd. So he's a PGA Tour veteran. Just been a while since he's been out there. Keep an eye on him throughout the entire fall swing. If you don't want to play him this week, definitely keep an eye out for him. Below that, probably, I don't think I had anyone that stuck out. Glidgic was interesting, but his recent form's been pretty bad. You can see his green regulation number is not the best. McNeely's got some name value, but probably not going to go there. I think that's probably it, guys. Like I said, the Korn Ferry Tour stats, take them with a grain of salt because, they are a step down. But when you got guys like Victor Hovland showing up and finishing just as well in a Korn Ferry Tour event as the PGA Tour events, I mean, the competition's not that far off anymore. It's really pretty close. So I am putting a lot of weight into the Korn Ferry Tour guys, especially these cheaper ones. Use it to your advantage. Use these stats to try to figure out which ones kind of pop. And with the lower cut, I mean, be aggressive a little bit. There's going to be fewer 6-6s, so upside will be key. There's not as much room for safety, even though it's only 5 spots. It's definitely gives yourself an opportunity to be a little bit more aggressive with your player pool with these values. So use the Korn Ferry Tour stats in the rolling stat sheets. You can obviously go back to the 10 tournaments for the PGA Tour guys, but I'm really looking for these value plays, trying to pick my spots, find some opportunities for these guys like a Grayson Murray and Zach Blair with some really good recent form, good underlying stats, and they should have a good week this week. So that'll do it, guys. I think I forgot to say shout out to Chris Ferreter. If you guys have seen the new hats and all the shirts and all the swag that we get, that's a huge hookup from Chris. So definitely wanted to shout him out. I forgot at the top of the show for that. But again, guys, thank you so much. We'll be in Slack later tonight. We won't be doing the live stream, but definitely drop any questions you have. Good luck in all your golf contests. Good luck in NFL, college football, whatever else you're playing. Excited for this fall swing and excited to get these tools out for you at the beginning of the year. So hang in there. We'll see you later. Peace out.